I've spent so much time making sure that I belong and that I won't be rejected. And to do that sometimes, I have put on a face, put on a mask. I spent a lot of time trying to live up to other people's expectations. It's like this constant voice, this constant shadow. Everything I did, it was like, it's not enough. It's not enough. It needs to be more. I think so many of us, if not all of us, struggle with that, of what I do not being enough, not good enough. And as I am getting older and as I'm being witnessed in my vulnerability, there's that sense of, you know what? If I am rejected by some people, that's okay, because there are so many people in my life who will always be there and who will always accept me. And I think it also just comes from age, saying, you know, if you don't like me, what can I do about that? I have this quote by Rachel Naomi Remen. The places in which we are seen and heard are holy places. They remind us of our value as human beings. They give us strength to go on. I love that. To be seen and heard by a living presence, a flesh and blood breathing presence. To be loved in your vulnerability, in the moments where you mess up and you get it wrong. That really is a sacred place. That is the place from which you do find that strength to go on. Because, you know, we just don't always believe that we can. Sometimes we need someone else to believe it for us. One of the most difficult things I've found in life is to show up as who I am and be witnessed. Because it's when other people see you and other people go, I love you, and in your vulnerability, I think you're amazing. You start to believe it about yourself. You know, people say to you, oh, but that was amazing. You're such a good friend. And I would say to myself, they're just being nice. And I've started to believe what people say about me, to actually start believing when people say, you know, you've been a good friend, or this work you've done matters, or this poem you wrote is good, and to just slowly start believing that. It's not this sudden revelation. It's the slow, incremental accumulation of allowing that to settle. My dad and I were very close. We loved the same things. We loved being in the mountains. We loved wild places. He was in a coma for the last 5 months of his life. None of it was expected. And I remember I would sit by his bed and feel like I was in front of this sheer cliff face that was stretching away to left and right. I couldn't go around it. And initially I couldn't go up either. All I could do was be present to the reality, and be present to him in all the ways I thought would help. I just had to be present to it. And then, slowly but surely, I was able to start navigating my way up that cliff. Dad and I climbed Kilimanjaro in 2005. It had been a dream of his. And so when he turned 60, a group of us as a family gifted him a trip to Kilimanjaro with me. I have a poem that I wrote recently about it. It's called Descent. It's a cold afternoon. Walking into the frail care, I rub my hands together, dispel the wet northwester chill from my finger joints. They don't hurt though, not like they did that summit night 20 years ago. My steps slow on the ashy slope, 4 breaths to each step in the thin air. Dizzy and faint, I try to unwrap a bar 1. My thoughts frayed, clumsy as my gloved hands. My father, with icicled moustache, leaned over me, took the bar, and unwrapped it, and I cried. Once again a little girl, held like a hatchling fallen from the nest, into my father's warm hands. It shadowed in his corner of the room. I rub his feet, read to him, take his hands in mine. Try to stretch out the fingers curled like half-made fists, like the claws of a bird, dead on the winter ground, clasped round the frozen branch on which it used to sing. When someone you love dies, it's not just their absence, it's that the world shifts. The world is not the same place it was without them in it. And you shift. My identity now is different because my father is no longer here. It was very hard to remember him as he was, but I knew that I had come to a particular moment in my journey through grief when I realized one day I was thinking about him, and I wasn't thinking about him as he was as he died. I was remembering him as he had been. When I remembered him like that, I thought, okay, there is a piece of the grieving that is now done because, I can remember him like that. And I guess that's also part of the grieving process. You have to go through it. You have to allow yourself to be in it. And then when you come out of the other side, there are still days when I cry and I miss him and I wish he was here. But there's also so much joy in remembering things. I can remember those things now without it feeling so sharp and painful. I can remember those things and feel joy and happiness. After my father died, I felt as though I was going to fall off the edge of a cliff into some netherworld. And writing is how I stayed grounded and tethered to life. I would go out early in the mornings before the sun rose, watch the light coming through the leaves or raindrops on a blade of grass. I wrote about that, and writing about flowers and trees and frogs and snails helped me to stay connected to the reality of the physical, tangible world, and reminded me that life continues. No matter what happens, the willow outside my window continues to produce leaves every spring. After my father's death, being in that space with all of those very tactile, earthy, muddy things, I think helped to nourish me and remind me that life goes on. I have this fierce conviction that beauty and goodness are at the heart of everything. I believe that with every fiber of my being. John Muir actually has a beautiful quote about that, about how we need beauty as much as we need bread, and about it being a place that the soul can play in. Because we are so bombarded with all the brokenness and the cruelty and the ugliness, and all of that is true. We have to be present to those things. We have to do the work needed. But if we don't have that sense of goodness and beauty and hope to nourish us, we get burnt out, we get angry, we get bitter. And I think being in nature reminds me of that goodness. Mary Oliver has this amazing poem. It's called Instructions for Living a Life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. That is the work of your life, is to pay attention. But it is a discipline, a mental and spiritual discipline that you need to cultivate. There is always an opportunity to see beauty. And that, I think, is where the practice comes in. Choosing to notice what is there. I do think the more we are reminded of the goodness that exists in the world and in ourselves, if that is the lens through which you choose to see the world, and I'm not talking about being Pollyanna, I'm not talking about ignoring what is painful or difficult or being present to grief or saying the hard things, that's not what I'm talking about. But I do think that the way you show up for others is very often what comes back. And again, I also don't mean that in a soft, fluffy way. I mean, if you choose to believe in the kindness and the goodness of the person standing in front of you, they feel that. And that is often how they then show up to you. My life is bigger and richer and deeper and more wonderful than I even had the capacity to imagine as a child. You know, that might sound, again, Pollyanna, but I mean it. I have more than I need.
Thank you so much for watching the story all the way to the end. And a special thank you to all of you on Patreon who help us to make these films. If you want to join us on the journey, please click the link over here, I think. It just wouldn't be possible without you. Thank you.